The massacre and the message, the screams from Haven Prime, had barely faded when the Vorthok Empire sent their message to Earth. Emperor Korthax appeared on every human communication channel, his 6 arms spread wide in a gesture of dominance. His scaled face bore the cruel smile that had terrorized dozens of worlds across the galaxy. Pathetic humans, his voice rumbled through the quantum channels. Your colonies burned beautifully. Haven Prime, New Geneva, Terra Nova, 12 million of your kind turned to ash in a single day. This is what happens when inferior species dare to expand into Vorthok space. The transmission showed footage from the attacks. Massive Vorthok dreadnoughts, raining plasma death on civilian settlements, children running through burning streets, evacuation ships exploding before they could escape orbit. The methodical, systematic extermination of entire populations. Admiral Sarah Mitchell stood in Earth's Defense Command, watching the carnage with tears streaming down her face. Around her, officers struggled to maintain composure as they witnessed the slaughter of their people. 12 million souls gone. Your species will serve as slaves, Korthax continued, or you will share the fate of your colonies. You have 7 standard days to surrender your pathetic worlds. Any resistance will be met with complete annihilation. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Admiral Mitchell wiped her eyes and turned to her staff. Options. General Harrison stepped forward. Ma'am, we have 300 ships ready for deployment. It's not enough. Intelligence reports show the Vorthok have over 800 vessels in their main fleet alone. Conventional warfare won't work, agreed Captain Torres. They outgun us, outman us, and they've proven they have no qualms about targeting civilians. Admiral Mitchell nodded grimly. Then a voice spoke from the back of the room. Perhaps it's time for an unconventional approach. Everyone turned to see Captain Alina Vasquez walking into the command center. Her uniform was different from standard Navy issue, where others wore blue and gold. Hers was deep black with silver trim. Her ship's patch showed not a weapon or star, but a simple human eye surrounded by flowing streams of light. Captain Vasquez, Admiral Mitchell acknowledged, "I wasn't expecting you." "The memory keeper is ready, Admiral," Alina said quietly. "Dr. Chen's team completed the final modifications yesterday. We've been waiting for a situation exactly like this." General Harrison frowned. "The memory keeper, I've heard whispers about. Some experimental, psychological warfare project. But it's more than warfare," Alina interrupted. "It's justice, it's consequences, and it's exactly what the Vorthok need to understand." Admiral Mitchell studied Elena's face. The captain was young, barely 30, but her eyes held an ancient weariness. Alina had been one of the few survivors of the Proxima Beta massacre 5 years earlier. She'd watched her family die while hiding in a crashed transport. That experience had changed her, driven her to volunteer for Dr. Chen's experimental program. "Explain," the Admiral commanded. Alina activated a holographic display showing a sleek, unusual vessel. The memory keeper looked nothing like a traditional warship. Instead of bristling with weapons, its hull was smooth and organic-looking, covered in hexagonal panels that pulsed with soft blue light. Dr. Marcus Chen spent 10 years developing psychological resonance technology, Alina began. "The theory is simple. Human consciousness leaves traces, echoes that can be captured and preserved. Every thought, every emotion, every final moment can be recorded and transmitted." Captain Torres leaned forward. "You're talking about memories. I'm talking about weaponizing truth," Alina corrected. The Vorthok see us as weak because we value life, because we mourn our dead, because we try to avoid unnecessary conflict. They think compassion makes us inferior. But what if we could make them experience what we experience? What if we could make them feel what it's like to die as a human child, calling for parents who are already dead? The room fell silent. Admiral Mitchell studied the ship design, noting the strange arrays of neural transmitters where weapons platforms should be. How does it work? Elena's expression grew somber. The memory keeper contains the preserved final moments of every human killed in the Proxima Beta massacre. Their fear, their pain, their last thoughts. Dr. Chen and I have spent 5 years refining the technology to project these experiences directly into alien neural networks. You want to make the Vorthok experience human deaths, General Harrison said slowly. I want to make them understand consequences, Elena replied. They killed 12 million people without a second thought because they couldn't comprehend the weight of those lives. But what if they could? What if every Vorthok soldier suddenly knew what it felt like to be a human mother shielding her children? What if their emperor experienced the terror of a father watching his family burn? Admiral Mitchell was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. 1 ship against 800. Even with your technology, how do you plan to get close enough? Elena smiled grimly. The same way humans have always won impossible battles, Admiral. We let them underestimate us. 3 days later, the UES memory keeper dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Arcturus system. Immediately, Vorthok sensors detected the lone human vessel. On the bridge of the massive dreadnought Worldbreaker, Emperor Korthax laughed. With genuine amusement. 1 ship, he rumbled to his bridge crew. The humans send 1 pathetic vessel to answer our fleet of 800. This insults even their own reputation for stupidity. General Vex, his military commander, studied the sensor readings. My lord, the vessel's configuration is unusual. Our scans show minimal weapons systems, but strange energy signatures throughout the hull. Irrelevant, Korthax waved dismissively. Order the fleet to surround it. I want this human commander brought before me alive so I can explain personally how we will torture his species to extinction. As the Vorthok fleet moved into position, Captain Elena Vasquez sat calmly in the memory keeper's command chair. Her bridge was unlike any other in the human navy. Instead of weapons consoles, her officers operated banks of neural transmission equipment. Holographic displays showed not target locks and firing solutions, but the preserved memories of thousands of human lives. Captain, her communications officer announced, the Vorthok are hailing us. Put them through. Emperor Korthax's scaled face filled the main screen. Human Captain, I am Emperor Korthax of the Vorthak Empire. You will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Elena looked directly into the alien's 6 eyes. I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the UES Memory Keeper. I'm here to discuss the 12 million humans you murdered. Korthax's laugh was like grinding metal. Murdered. We exterminated vermin. Your species spreads like a plague across the galaxy, claiming worlds that belong to the strong. We simply restored the natural order. 12 million individuals, Elena said calmly, each with families, dreams, hopes. Children who wanted to grow up, parents who wanted to see them succeed, people who had never harmed anyone. Sentiment, Korthax spat. This is why your species is weak. You attach meaning to meaningless lives. Elena's expression never changed. Dr. Chen, she said quietly to her science officer, begin the resonance cascade. Target the Emperor's personal neural network first. What are you doing? Korthax demanded. Teaching you the meaning of consequences, Alina replied. The memory keeper's hull began to pulse with brighter light. Across the Vorthok fleet, soldiers suddenly felt strange sensations in their minds. It started as a whisper, barely noticeable. Then it grew stronger. Emperor Korthax was the first to experience it fully. One moment he was laughing at the pathetic human ship. The next, he was a 7-year-old human girl named Lisa Chen, hiding under a collapsed building on Haven Prime. He felt her terror as plasma fire lit up the night sky. He experienced her desperate hope that her parents would find her. Then he felt her confusion and pain as debris crushed her small body. The Emperor staggered backward, clutching his head. What was that? That was Lisa Chen, Elena said. Softly, age 7. She wanted to be a teacher when she grew up. She collected stuffed animals and loved strawberry ice cream. She died calling for her mother. Before Korthax could respond, another memory hit him. This time he was Marcus Thompson, an engineer on New Geneva. He felt Marcus's desperate love for his pregnant wife Sarah as he tried to reach her during the attack. He experienced Marcus's final thought as he died in an explosion, wondering if his unborn child would survive. Across the Vorthok fleet, similar scenes were playing out. Soldiers who had never questioned orders suddenly experienced the deaths of their victims. They felt the fear of human children, the grief of parents losing their families, the desperate hope of people who just wanted to live. Stop this, Korthax screamed, but his voice cracked as another memory overwhelmed him. An elderly human named Robert Kim saying goodbye to his granddaughter over video call just before the attack. The old man's love, his pride in his family, his quiet dignity as he faced death. We can't stop it, Alina replied. This is what you created. These are the consequences of your actions. Every life you ended, every family you destroyed, every dream you crushed, you're going to experience all of it. General Vex collapsed on the bridge, overwhelmed by the memories of Maria Santos, a nurse who had died trying to save wounded civilians. Commander Zek wept uncontrollably as he experienced the final moments of David Park, a father who had died, shielding his children from falling debris. How many? Korthax gasped between memory assaults. 12 million, Elena answered. Every single one. Their names, their faces, their final moments. The memory keeper preserved them all. Asterisk, the reckoning and consequences. The psychological assault continued for hours. The massive Vorthok fleet, moments before the most feared military force in the galaxy, was now paralyzed by an enemy they had never encountered. Empathy on the bridge. Of the memory keeper, Captain Alina Vasquez monitored the neural resonance readings. Each Vorthok soldier was experiencing approximately 1 human death every 30 seconds. The psychological impact was overwhelming their aggressive conditioning. Captain, reported Dr. Chen from his console, we're seeing massive neural restructuring across their fleet. The empathy centers of their brains are activating for the first time. It's literally rewiring how they process violence and suffering. Alina nodded grimly. This was the goal, but seeing it happen in real time was both satisfying and terrifying. They were fundamentally changing an entire species' capacity for compassion. Emperor Korthax had fallen to his knees on his bridge. The memories kept coming. Elena Rodriguez, a teacher who had died protecting her students. James Mitchell, a farmer who had never left his homeworld. Susan Wright, a doctor who had volunteered in the refugee camps. Each death hit the Emperor like a physical blow. please, he whispered, make it stop. Elena's voice came through the communications channel, no longer calm but filled with cold fury. Did Lisa Chen's please make you stop? Did Marcus Thompson's screams save his family? Did any of the 12 million voices begging for mercy reach your ears? Through the neural link, Corthax experienced the memory of Sarah Thompson, Marcus's pregnant wife, dying in the medical facility bombing. He felt her love for her unborn child, her hope that somehow her baby might survive. Then came the crushing realization that both mother and child were lost forever. We didn't know, Corthax gasped. We didn't understand they were like us. You didn't want to understand, Alina corrected. Understanding would have made conquest harder. It's easier to kill when you don't see your victims as real people. Across the Vorthok fleet, something unprecedented was happening. Soldiers were laying down their weapons, not in surrender, but in horror at what they had done. Commander Zek, still reeling from experiencing human deaths, opened a channel to his crew. All hands, he said, his voice breaking, power down weapons, systems. We cannot continue this. Similar scenes played out on dozens of ships. General Vex, overwhelmed by the memories of human families torn apart, issued fleet-wide orders to cease all hostile actions. My lord, he said to Emperor Corthax, we must end this madness. The humans... They're not what we thought. They're not weak, they're just different. They value individual lives in ways we never comprehended. Emperor Corthax was experiencing the memory of Robert Kim's final video call with his granddaughter. The old man's gentle voice, full of love and wisdom, as he comforted the crying child across the void of space. Grandpa has to go now, sweetheart. But remember what I taught you. Be kind to others. Help those who need it. Make the galaxy a better place. The Emperor wept. For the first time in his long life, Corthax truly understood what they had destroyed. Not just bodies, but souls. Not just individuals, but entire futures full of love, creativity, and hope. Human captain, he said finally, we surrender. Please, no more. We cannot bear this burden. Alina studied the broken alien leader. Surrender isn't enough. You need to understand that this isn't a burden you can set down. These memories, these experiences, they're part of you now. Dr. Chen activated another system. Captain, the memory integration protocol is ready. Proceed. Across the Vorthok fleet, a new wave of neural energy pulsed from the memory keeper. But this wasn't another memory assault. This was permanent integration. Every Vorthok who had participated in the massacre now carried the complete death experiences of their victims as permanent memories. What have you done? Corthax whispered. We've given you consequences, Alina replied. Every Vorthok warrior who took part in the colony attacks now carries the memories of those they killed. You'll dream their dreams. You'll wake up remembering their faces. When you see your own children, you'll think of the human children who died, afraid and alone. General Vex stared at his hands in horror. He could remember being every human soldier he had personally killed. Their training, their families, their reasons for fighting. This is torture. This is understanding, Alina corrected. For too long, your species has conquered without consequence. You killed and moved on, never thinking about the lives you ended. Now you'll carry those lives with you always. Commander Zek spoke up from his ship. How do we live with this? Elena's expression softened slightly. The same way humans do. We carry our grief, our guilt, our memories of loss. but we use them to become better. Every human death you now remember can teach you something about the value of life. Emperor Korthak slowly stood, his entire worldview fundamentally altered. He could feel the presence of 12 million human memories in his mind, not as foreign invaders, but as part of his own consciousness now. Our empire, he said slowly, our entire culture is built on conquest and domination. How can we continue knowing what we know now? You can't, Alina said simply. Your old empire is dead. The question is what you'll build to replace it. Dr. Chen leaned forward. The neural integration isn't just punishment, Emperor, it's opportunity. You now have access to 12 million human perspectives. Their creativity, their problem-solving abilities, their capacity for cooperation and innovation. You could use this knowledge to transform your entire civilization. Over the following days, the transformation of the Vorthok Empire accelerated. Beyond anyone's expectations, soldiers who had once glorified battle now worked to help war refugees. Commanders who had planned planetary bombardments started organizing relief efforts. Emperor Korthak established the Memorial Directive, requiring every Vorthok settlement to build monuments honoring the human victims. But more than that, they began studying human achievements, art, music, literature, science. They discovered that the species they had dismissed as weak had created wonders that surpassed anything in Vorthok culture. We spent millennia perfecting ways to destroy, said in a broadcast to his people. The humans spent their time perfecting ways to create, to heal, to inspire. We have been the inferior species all along. On Earth, Admiral Mitchell watched the reports coming in from Vorthok space with amazement. They're actually keeping their word, rebuilding the colonies they destroyed, providing resources and technology to help the survivors. Captain Alina Vasquez stood beside her, looking older than her years. The Memory Keeper's mission had been a success, but it had taken its toll on her as well. She had felt every memory. Transmission experienced every moment of human suffering right alongside the voice. Do you think it will last? The Admiral asked. Alina considered the question. The memory integration is permanent. They can't forget what they've learned. And from what Dr. Chen tells me, the neural changes are already being passed to their offspring. The next generation of Vorthok will be born with an innate understanding of empathy. You've changed an entire species. We've taught them consequences, Alina corrected. The rest is up to them. A communication came through from Emperor Korthak himself. His image appeared on screen, but he looked different now. The cruel arrogance was gone, replaced by something resembling wisdom. Captain Vasquez, he said formally, I speak for my entire people when I offer our deepest apologies for our actions. We cannot undo the deaths we caused, but we pledge to spend our existence ensuring such tragedies never occur again. Words are easy, Alina replied. Actions matter. Then judge us by our actions, Korthak said. We are dismantling our military conquest division. Our warships are being converted to medical and rescue vessels. Our warrior training programs are being replaced with diplomatic and humanitarian academies. Alina studied his face, seeing the genuine remorse there. More than that, she could see the weight of 12 million human memories reflected in his eyes. There's something else, the Emperor continued. We've been studying the human concept of memorial gardens. We want to create a living monument to those we killed. Not just statues, but actual places where life can flourish. We're terraforming 3 dead worlds in our space and naming them after your lost colonies. Haven Prime Memorial, New Geneva Memorial, and Terra Nova Memorial. Admiral Mitchell stepped forward. That's generous. It's necessary, Corthax replied. We need constant reminders of what our arrogance cost. But more than that, we want to create something beautiful from our shame. The humans we killed wanted to see life spread across the galaxy. Now they will, in a way. Captain Alina Vasquez felt something she hadn't experienced since the Memory Keeper's mission began: hope. There's one more thing, she said to the Emperor. The Memory Keeper preserved more than just death experiences. We also captured moments of human joy, creativity, love, and wonder. If your people are truly committed to change, perhaps they're ready to experience the full spectrum of human consciousness. Emperor Corthax bowed his head. We would be honored to learn. As the transmission ended, Alina turned to Admiral Mitchell. The Memory Keeper's mission is complete, but I think its real work is just beginning. 6 months later, reports from Vorthok space described a civilization in the midst of unprecedented transformation. Former warriors had become poets, writing verses inspired by human literary traditions. Scientists who had once designed weapons now worked on healing technologies. Children who had been raised on stories of glorious conquest now learned about cooperation and mutual understanding. The Memory Keeper remained in orbit around the Vorthok homeworld, no longer a weapon of war, but a teacher, gradually sharing the preserved experiences of human life with any who wished to learn. Captain Alina Vasquez stood in her quarters, looking out at the alien world below. She could see the construction of New Geneva Memorial Park, a vast garden where Vorthok families brought their children to learn about the value of every individual life. Her communications officer's voice came over the intercom. Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. Put it through. Admiral Mitchell appeared on screen. Alina, we've received a request from the Andromedan Commonwealth. They want to know if the Memory Keeper is available for a diplomatic mission. Seems some of their member worlds have heard about what happened here and are interested in the technology for conflict resolution. Alina smiled. The Memory Keeper had been built as a weapon of last resort, a way to show enemies the true cost of their actions, but it had become something more. A teacher, a bridge between species, a way to share the most fundamental human truth, that every life has meaning and every action has consequences. Set course for Andromedan space, she ordered. It's time to spread the lesson. As the Memory Keeper departed Vorthok territory, Emperor Corthax stood in his palace, surrounded by artwork created by human artists who had died in the colony attacks. He could remember each of them now, their hopes and dreams as vivid as his own memories. Thank you, he whispered to the departing ship, for showing us what we truly were, and what we could become. The transformation of the Vorthok Empire became a turning point in galactic history. The species that had once been feared as ruthless conquerors became known as the galaxy's most passionate defenders of life and peace. They carried their burden of human memories not as a curse, but as a gift that reminded them daily of the preciousness of every sentient being. And somewhere in the void between stars, the Memory Keeper continued its mission, carrying the preserved experiences of humanity to any species willing to learn the hardest lesson of all, that understanding the weight of consequences is the first step toward wisdom.